Hello, hello, everyone.
Howdy.
Welcome. This is the Real Football Fans of New Jersey. This is officially episode 201.
And one. And one.
As most of you know, we did celebrate our 200th episode. We had an in-person show at Cricket Hill Brewery in Fairfield this past Saturday. It was a lot of fun.
So much fun.
Great crew of people, great beers, honestly. Obviously, the Real Football Fans of New Jersey, we normally drink wine on the show. Phenomenal beers at Cricket Hill.
They had pumpkin beer available. So, I was drinking that all night.
I drank an El Diablo beer that was made with habanero peppers. And for those of you who like spicy, it was muy bueno.
Yeah. Great selection.
Yeah, honestly, big selection. So we had an amazing time. It was so much fun. Great show. A lot of people that could not attend in person, watching us live, through our social media channels. And it was just an amazing night. Kate, do you want to say anything before we kick it off with our normal segment?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just like a big thank you. Like we couldn't do this like without you guys. And it was just to do a show like live in person and to get that like real time like interaction, like the cheers from the crowd. Like we love our like interaction with you guys like live like every single week. And we see a bunch of people already tuning in live. So please interact with us through the show. But it gives you that like adrenaline rush and like kind of like your hairs stand up on your arm when there's people live in front of you. So again, we couldn't do this without you. You guys are our hype crew. You're our hype men. So we really appreciate it. And again, just thank you to our friends, family, and our fans. Thank you to Cricket Hill. It was a great venue. Honestly, like if you have a party, go there. Like they're not paying us to say this. Like we paid them. So but then the selection of beer too, if you just want to go for fun, like really awesome. Like really awesome in New Jersey, local, like a local brewery. So just really happy, like still, living off that like vibe and that energy from Saturday. So thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. Well, now it's time to get on to 201. So
going to 300.
We did ask you guys to send us some questions for tonight's show. We do have 3 of them. I like this first one because it is draft related. The NFL draft is next week. So we got a lot of draft content for you guys tonight, and certainly we'll have more for you next week, I'm sure, as well. But this first question we have here is, who will be the 3rd Alabama player drafted after Evan Neal and Jameson Williams? Kate, do you want to kick it off?
Obviously a great question. I am wearing my Alabama gear tonight. I'm wearing my Alabama gear on next week's show because I'm putting the good juju into the universe, the good vibes into the universe, because Evan Neal needs to come to the New York Giants. But obviously Williams is a great pick as well. And we are assuming that the 2 of them are going to go, early on. But one of these guys I have, who knows? They might. Evan Neal's off the board first. I think that's a given.
Right.
Williams, though, these 2 guys could come back. So I actually picked 2 people. So I couldn't really decide between the 2 because I think they would be crucial to 2 teams. Obviously, John Mechie III is a wide receiver out of Alabama. Mechie, he is so good, very talented. He got hurt near the end of last season. So that's a big kind of like, it's not a question mark, but it's an asterisk you always have to put. I think he's, on his road to a full recovery. He'll be fine. Great pick there. And then I'm going to go with linebacker Christian Harris. Just really 2 talented players, 2 completely different positions, clearly, that I think teams could really advance on. So these are the 2 guys that, again, it's a very Alabama-filled draft like it is normally, but a lot of excitement around the guys we're going to see go off the board for Bama.
All right. It would be a complete disservice to sit here and act like I know people in Alabama. So I'm not even going to bother. Yes, I read mock drafts. I will say this. I do believe that Evan Neal and Jameson Williams are going to be the only 2 Bama players in the first round.
I think that's fair.
We get past the first round when I don't know as many people as like obviously know the first round draft prospects. I'm not going to sit here and give you a name. I don't really like college football. I don't have a team, so I'm not going to pretend like I know. I did see, Kate, you mentioned Christian Harris. I did see him. I was reading a mock draft before the show. I did see him as the 3rd Alabama player going in the mock in the 2nd round.
Yep.
So obviously I'm gonna leave that to you. You know better than I do.
I would say, him and Mechie are two to third round players, in my opinion. I've actually seen Williams going in the second round as well.
Yeah.
Yes, people, I am starting to dabble in mock drafts. I'm not like full, even though we're a week out,
almost a week out. You have to start reading mocks.
I'm starting to dabble. They just give me anxiety. Honestly, there's too much. I know what I want. I don't need to read everyone else.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Great question.
All right, question number 2. Who is your favorite offensive and defensive player on the Giants' current roster?
Oh, good question. Offensively, I'm going to go with Andrew Thomas. We got to protect our quarterback and Daniel Jones. I think he made great progress last season. I know it was off to a rough start in the beginning. I even threw some question marks at him, but I think he proved himself mid to the end of the season. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. He's now a veteran on our line for us, so he's got these new guys coming in. Needs to shape them. I wouldn't be surprised if they threw a C on his jersey this year. And then defensively, I'm going to go with my boy from Bama, Xavier McKinney. I love such a standout player last year. A lot of interceptions, really doing big things on defense and making big plays when the Giants needed them the most, sadly needed them the most. So if we kind of wrap everything up offensively and defensively, and he's still making those big plays, good for us. Let's go. I loved, Giants doing big things in the second round per usual with him, another guy out of Alabama. Really, really like him. So,
all right. Very nice. Offense was a little bit tougher for me. I wouldn't say that there's one that specifically stands out. So I'm going to kind of give a 3-headed monster here.
Oh, that's fine.
I really do. Kate, I'm going to agree with you on Andrew Thomas. I think he is such a pivotal part of that offense, especially this upcoming season. I agree with you. I think he could very well be wearing the C on his jersey. Yep. He would be a great captain. We're definitely going to need him to step up as a veteran leader. I'm going to go with Daniel Jones because this really isn't more so about his play. It's about who he is as a player and a person. And the fact that he reminds me so much of Eli Manning is how could you not
I agree.
root for him? How could you not appreciate the fact that he never throws anybody under the bus? He always takes complete responsibility. And he's a Duke boy. So I like that too.
A plus.
And then my third one is going to be this is somebody who as a rookie really excited me. And he had such a great connection with Daniel Jones. And that's kind of faltered the last 2 seasons. I'm always pulling for Darius Slayton. I really want to see him get his groove back with DJ and do some big things. So it's DJ and him are 2 guys I'm pulling for. I'm rooting for. And then Andrew Thomas is like I said, a pivotal part of the offense.
Yeah. I like your 3-headed monster.
Thank you. And then defensively, Lord knows if Xavier McKinney wasn't on the Giants, you would agree with me that it is Sir Blakey Poo Martinez.
Oh, Blakey Poo.
We are big Blake fans.
Love him.
A big time injury. And I'm just really hoping that we can get him full strength, full health this season because he's such a difference maker on that defense as basically the quarterback of the defense playing the linebacker position.
Just a big presence on and off the field for the New York Giants. Yeah, in on every play, made such a big difference, I think, leadership-wise when he came in. Obviously, a captain right off the bat. I love when guys come from other teams and right away they become a captain. It's not this
volumes.
Yeah, it's not a popularity contest ooh, this big name is coming to the New York Giants. It's I made an impact. And I think the Giants are very selective with their captains. They're not, it goes to they pick who really deserves it.
Your stat leaders or your jersey selling guys, you know what I mean? So I completely agree with you. And I think 100% when you're coming from another team and you're going into your first season with the Giants and they've already decided that you're someone that we feel is deserving of being a captain. I mean, that's huge. That says it all. So
I think of him. I think of Logan Ryan, Alec Ogletree. These guys came in, and obviously I feel bad that the 2 other guys, their time is no longer with the New York Giants. But those 2 other guys came in, made impacts, and that right away. So I think that's crucial, especially for a team that we are really trying to go in the right direction. So obviously love us some Blakey Poo as well.
Yes, we love Blake. Okay, and then our last question. This is coming from a Real Football Fans of New Jersey fan from New York, asking us, what's one goal you both share for the next 200 episodes? How about a New York City live show? Kate, what do you think about doing a live show in the city?
I would love to do a live show in the city. Katie and I would just need to, make sure we have the proper transportation there and back. We don't like public transportation. It would have to be like in Midtown Manhattan if it's like a public trans, because then it's just like a quick straight shot to Penn Station. Don't put us on subways. Don't put us.
Let's do a live New York City show and get Luann to sing cabaret during it.
That would be perfect. She does Fahrenheit 54. I think she sings that. Maybe we can do a live show there, partner with her. But listen, if we get some Sprinter vans, maybe a limousine, we'd love to come to New York City and do something for you guys. Whoever asked the question, maybe provide some suggestions. And if we can maybe come to kind of a, what's that word? Like, let's try to, oh my God, why am I blanking? I'm having such a brain fart right now. Oh, compromise. Oh my God. I was like, what word is that? Maybe we can come to a compromise and do like Hoboken or Jersey City, meet in the middle somewhere. But yeah, I would love to. We just need to figure out the details.
Yes. All right. Well, those are 3 great questions that we got from you guys.
What are the goals? We have to say what our goals are for.
Oh, our goals.
I would just say we have to interview more people. We're definitely going to bring on more guests. I would love that. We've done, great things so far with that. So just
I've always thought about, I would really like the next time license plate guy organizes his softball game. Obviously we want to attend, but I think it would be really awesome to be part of like the media team there.
100%.
And that's kind of always been in the back of my head as something that I would really like to do and accomplish, like with the Real Football Fans of New Jersey.
Christopher just texted us. My brother just texted us. Sorry, I'm looking at, I feel like I need like my glasses.
I see it too, and it really is, sorry, Christopher, it's not really relevant. It's
not
basketball, so
whatever. But if college basketball fans, Jay Wright is going to retire at Villanova, if anyone wants to know. So.
I'm a college basketball fan. That's a little bit surprising. I didn't know that was
on the table.
He's been there a while, but I still look at him as like a younger coach and obviously a very successful coach.
Right.
And so that's surprising news, but that's in the basketball world. So.
We've got people, guys, feeding us stuff every so please keep feeding us breaking news as it happens. But again, thank you guys for submitting those questions. We love interacting with you throughout the show. Again, we are live on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Facebook and YouTube are the best areas to submit us questions and comments. Twitter, you just have to reply to the tweet because that's the only way I'm going to see it. So, but we love interacting with you. Any more questions you have for us throughout the show, comments, send them in. We got you. So let's move into our big stories of the week for football. Free agency is still moving and grooving, and there is news. And this is one of the biggest pieces of news. And I must say, we will call out our friend Justin Pennick from Talkin' Giants because he was wrong-o with his bold prediction of the 2022 season. Yeah. He actually he tweeted at us right when this news broke and was just like, oops. I
totally forgot that he said that. But yes, we do have the Justin Pennick receipts.
We do. It's on actually every platform we own. So you can go find it. But the Las Vegas Raiders and quarterback Derek Carr agreed to a 3-year, $121.5 million contract extension. So obviously the jokes we're making with Justin was that the Raiders were going to trade him to the Philadelphia Eagles. That did not happen. I did see something too with Derek Carr that he had made a comment. If he wasn't on the Raiders this season, he'd be playing golf. So it seems as if Vegas is the only place he wants to be. So,
well, you know what's really interesting? Like, obviously, this is the most jam-packed, ridiculously good quarterback division now. And so you got Derek Carr, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson. And I feel as though Russell Wilson will probably like only play for the 2 teams in his career. I can see him really like finishing out his career in Denver. And so you got this contract extension with Derek Carr. Kansas City's never going to allow Patrick Mahomes to leave. He's got a long contract as well. Same with, the Chargers aren't going to let Justin Herbert go either. So this is going to be like this exact dominant quarterback division for a long, long time. So it's going to kind of be interesting to see the battles that, of course, go down in this division over the next however many seasons.
Absolutely. All right. Green Bay signed wide receiver Sammy Watkins to a 1-year, $4 million deal. To me, I guess someone was going to pick him up, but I feel like it's a little, I don't know. He's one of those names that's kind of making his way out. And it sucks.
It's a small contract. And he's definitely, Sammy Watkins was the number 4 overall pick in his respective draft years ago. And for somebody that got drafted so high, he's been a good receiver in the league for, a while now, but he never reached that level of like, oh, that makes sense that you were drafted number 4 overall. He's definitely been quite a journeyman throughout his career. So he's bounced around a lot.
Yeah. So again, we knew someone was going to pick him up, but it just, kind of where he lands. So, and who knows, over the next maybe 3 seasons, this might be an every season thing. He kind of just pops somewhere else. Yeah. So kind of disappointing. So, all right, the Indianapolis Colts signed cornerback Stephon Gilmore to a 2-year, $23 million deal. Great there. Love seeing a cornerback. We
talked a little bit about this at the 200th episode, but it was something I was saying. The AFC is just seeming ridiculous in comparison to the NFC as far as what has happened in free agency this season. And I feel like, because we asked the question, we polled everybody for our 200th, who could we see, Green Bay or Tennessee, who has the better shot of getting the number 1 seed again in next year's playoffs? And it's Green Bay might have to compete with maybe 2 other teams, whereas in the AFC, it's there are so many good teams, and it feels like every top tier free agent this offseason went to an AFC team. So I guess we're going to sit pretty in the NFC as Giants fans. And not,
what might be the case though, and someone can fact check me on this. I do feel more AFC teams, whether it was done through free agency or prior to that, gave up a lot of draft picks. So this was a time where they had to make moves. I think a couple of teams.
I don't know if it's more so in comparison to the NFC. I don't know.
I think a lot of them made bold decisions in this past offseason to where, or maybe last offseason, where they're not picking for a decent amount or don't have a lot of real estate. So again, you guys can fact check me on that. And again, I don't know if it's more so or not, but then I think the names that are popping out in my head are more so AFC teams. So they might have had to jump on whatever they could now.
I feel like in the NFC, you have Green Bay, you have the NFC West teams, and then that's it.
That's really it.
Yeah. And whereas the AFC, it's I think of some a division like the AFC North, when that was such a powerhouse year after year after year. And those are almost the forgotten teams right now, but those are still really good teams.
Really good teams.
Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. So it's just crazy. But
it's wild to think that.
Little side note.
Yeah. All right. Cleveland and cornerback Denzel Ward agreed to a 5-year, $100.5 million contract extension. Nice, giving the doll hairs again to 2 cornerbacks here. Wide receiver AJ Green agreed to a 1-year deal to stay with Arizona. No real surprise there. He's still a very talented wide receiver, in my opinion. So just keep him, I guess, on these 1-year deals as long as you can. Defensive lineman Calais Campbell is returning to Baltimore on a 2-year, $12.5 million deal. And then Houston and wide receiver Brandon Cooks agreed to a 2-year contract extension.
Which is good because they have no one.
Yeah. And then right before the show too today, I guess it's pretty, breaking news. So Deebo Samuel has requested to move on from the 49ers. This is still very much developing and everything like that, so just stay tuned to our social media channels. We'll keep sending things out. Adam Schefter was the one to report on it this morning. So just keeping a lookout on that, kind of on what, no real explanation as to why, but just kind of keeping a lookout there. A lot of funny things out there that I've sent Katie throughout the day. everyone could use Devo too.
Yeah, for real.
So, but just, yeah, keep an eye out for some updates there. But
all right. Well, let's get into some draft talk here. This was a very interesting article, and I believe it's actually going to be a 4-part series. So we have 2 parts right now, but we're going to talk about some NFL Draftee pro comparisons. So as we get prepped for the draft next week, Cynthia Freeland from NFL.com gave her pro comparisons for some of the top quarterback and some of the top edge rusher prospects. So I believe that she's going to have 2 more series. I don't know which position she's specifically looking at, but quarterback obviously is always a good one. And then I think edge rusher was a really good one to do because a lot of like the top 10, top 15, like there's a lot of edge rushers in that mix, a lot of first round potential edge rushers. So she also listed what teams she thought each player would fit best with. So we're just going to kind of go through the list. Kate, if anything pops out to you, any comments you want to make on it. I thought it was very, very interesting. But let's start with the quarterback group. So she's kind of looking at like the top quarterback prospects here. And we're going to start with Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh. So his pro comparison, we just mentioned this name before. And I feel like, you know, for us poo-pooing this class of quarterbacks, this isn't a terrible comparison here to be compared to Las Vegas's Derek Carr. Then she believes that the best team fit is Carolina. I've definitely said that Carolina, I believe at the 7 spot, is a team that I think could really, really be looking at a quarterback here. So yeah, but I think, hey, for everybody that's like not a lot of love to be compared to Derek Carr, who's like a pretty solid starting quarterback in the NFL, I would take that.
Yeah.
Okay, so our second guy here is Malik Willis out of Liberty. Definitely a hot name. I would say him and Kenny Pickett are like the top 2 guys. They kind of go back and forth. His pro comparison is Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is, Kate, you got to give me your take on this because his pro comparison is Jalen Hurts. And Cynthia believes his best team fit is the New York Giants.
There is so much like love and anticipation for Malik Willis right then now. And we just brought up Justin Pennick from Talking Giants before. He expressed his, you know, very much. He said he made the comparison to like he doesn't know if he wants to date him yet, but he's gonna text him and court him a little bit. I see it. I like the Jalen Hurts comparison. I actually think that Malik Willis is a little bit better than Jalen Hurts. And, you know, that's seeing, you know, Jalen go from Alabama to Oklahoma, kind of seeing that transition for him there, transition to now the Philadelphia Eagles. I just don't see the fit for the New York Giants, just knowing that I know we're not moving on from Daniel Jones this season. So why bring in a kid to just make him I don't know. It just, to me, I don't think any quarterback's a fit for the Giants right now. So
well, I also don't see the fit just in like, let's put Daniel Jones aside. I also just don't see the fit in general because I think of Jalen Hurts and he's definitely a dual threat quarterback. He's a guy who likes to throw and run. And I just can't ever imagine that. I know like probably 80% of the quarterbacks in the NFL now, like when they come in out of college are like they're guys that can run. They're like dual threat quarterbacks.
So they teach it more.
Even Daniel Jones is a good runner, but I can't see the Giants ever having a quarterback that's like truly like a dual threat who like almost runs just as much as they throw. Like it just, we need a pocket passer. Like
that's not a part of our offense. No matter who is running the offense or the team, it's just not a part.
We've never been that way. We've never had guys like that. Daniel Jones is probably the guy that we've had that runs the most. And even I look at him as a true pocket passer.
Yeah, and it's because he's also a friggin' tree. So they're probably like, just throw your body at all these people. You can physically run them over. So it's not that bad at it. So.
All right, the next guy we have is Matt Corral from Ole Miss. His pro comparison is actually a retired player. He got Jake Plummer, and his best team fit is the Tennessee Titans. So I guess like when you throw Tennessee in there, obviously they have Ryan Tannehill. So you're basically looking at Matt Corral as sort of like a backup here. And I think
Yeah.
kind of the rest of the list, I think Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis might only be two potential starters out of this group of guys. I think everybody else might, in fact, be backups for their respective teams they get drafted to.
Yeah, and it's tough to. There's a couple other retired people on the list. It's tough to compare people to whether they're recently retired or been retired for X amount of seasons. It's a tough comparison to make for sure. So,
all right, next on the list we have Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati. His pro comparison is Marcus Mariota from who's now with Atlanta, or Ryan Tannehill from Tennessee, which is kind of interesting. Like,
I don't agree with this comparison because Marcus Mariota and Ryan Tannehill are not the same quarterback.
Right.
In any way, shape, or form.
Interesting because obviously you have Marcus Mariota who's going to be playing for Atlanta now.
Right.
They have Desmond Ridder's best team fit as Atlanta. So I know that I think it was this past week, like Marcus Mariota was asked about like the fact of like, well, you know, are you expecting like Atlanta to draft a quarterback?
Right.
Like, and he was just like, listen, if they do, and that's the case, and he's going to be the starter, I'm going to provide as much knowledge and experience and try to help them out as much as I can. So I do feel as though Atlanta will probably draft somebody, whether they're going to compete with Marcus, maybe they'll bring in another veteran. I don't know, but I don't think regardless, it's going to be like Marcus Mariota's job, like flat out, like he's going to have to compete with somebody.
No, yeah, and I agree with that one, but I just don't know. I think it might be someone else, in my opinion, not someone from the draft.
All right. Then we have, last but not least, we have Sam Howell out of UNC. His pro comparison is a modernized Drew Brees, and his best team fit is Indy. So obviously Indy actually could be, if you're one of these quarterbacks in the draft this year where you're just being realistic with yourself and you're like, I don't think I'm going to get drafted and be a starter right away. Indy would be a great landing spot where you could be on a really successful team and be behind Matt Ryan, who definitely is not going to play that much longer. So that could be a really good spot for one of these kids who is realistic with themselves, is like, I'm probably going to be a backup.
Yeah, it's actually not the first time I've heard this comparison to Drew Brees before. What the problem I take with it is the modernized part of it. Like, what does that mean, a modernized Drew Brees?
I have a feeling that he was compared to Drew Brees just for like size-wise, and then modernized, maybe, I don't know enough about Sam Howell. Maybe
like, was Drew Brees not modern?
Like Drew Brees wasn't a runner. Maybe he's a runner. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because I would say Drew Brees was very much at the top of his game before retiring. So I don't know what that
modernized could be, that he's a runner, because all these young quarterbacks,
guys,
that's what they do. So obviously Drew Brees was never a runner. So that could be it.
Yep.
All right, edge rushers. This could potentially be the number one.
It's a great draft crew right here.
This
like,
is a phenomenal crew.
Holy
you know
shit.
What I love about it? The Giants need an edge rusher, and
it's a very good crew.
But we could easily be looking at an edge rusher in the first round with one of our 2 first-round picks.
Right.
And if these are the pro comparisons, I'll take any of them. So Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan, his pro comparison, love this player. He was a phenomenal, dominant player for a very long time. Jared Allen, who of course is retired now, and the best team fit for Aiden is the Detroit Lions. So I hope for his sake. I mean, you're Aiden, you're going early. So one of these teams, you know, in the early spots is not going to be too great of a team, but we'll see where he ends up. That's a great.
I always find it interesting though, with like these like young studs coming into an organization. You know, you could make maybe the argument for Trevor Lawrence if you're a big fan of his. I've already said I'm not sure about him in the NFL, but these young studs coming in, like, there might be a lot wrong with like really bad organizations in the NFL, but maybe they just need a spark and then things kind of just fall into place. And when I say fall into place, I say like in 2 or 3 seasons. It's not going to happen overnight. So a guy like Aiden Hutchinson, who's just outstanding. And if you're going to compare him to a guy like Jared Allen, and I know I said earlier, the retired players, it's a little hard, the comparisons, to really look at them in full detail. Like I'd rather see a guy now, but very outstanding career from Jared Allen. Yeah, that could be the answer. And I always get interested about that. Like, could this one person like turn it around?
Well, like you look at, and obviously, like quarterback is one thing. Like if you could land a good quarterback, it could easily turn things around.
Right.
But I look at somebody like Chase Young, and of course he got injured for Washington. But Chase Young is the best player on that team. You know what I mean? So it's like a guy on defense, an edge rusher, could make a very huge difference, like you're saying.
And they were winning games with him, then they started winning games without him. So it's like, did he kind of put Washington back on the map? Maybe.
Yeah. Next guy we have on this list, Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. His pro comparison, somebody playing in the league right now for the Green Bay Packers, Rashawn Gary, and his best team fit, the New York Giants. So
I wouldn't hate it. There's someone else on this list I'd like, but I wouldn't hate this one either. So.
All right. Next up, we have Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon. And I love this pro comparison.
I love this comparison.
Everybody would love to have a guy
like
this.
But the comparison is spot on, though. Like, very spot on, in my opinion.
This pro comparison is Josh Allen out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know that's a player we really, really love, and he's super dominant. So that's a great comparison. And his best team fit is the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
All right, next on the list, Jermaine Johnson, the second out of Florida State. His pro comparison is a retired player. It is Whitney Merciless, and his best team fit is Atlanta. And then last but not least, we have George Karlaftis out of Purdue, and his pro comparison is a current player, but who's actually a free agent right now, Ryan Kerrigan, who has obviously had a very long NFL career.
Right.
And George's best team fit, the Chicago Bears. So, I mean, I love this list of players. And again, like if the Giants land one of these guys, that's going to be huge for us. So,
I would love Kayvon Thibodeau, but I don't think we're getting him and Evan Neal. So I kind of have to like bring myself to I know. You never know. You really do never know. We've got, there's so much to look forward to. So.
Yeah, but that's all. That was a great, article. Again, I'm going to keep an eye out, kind of see. I'm very interested what the other two positions she's going to look. Maybe it'll be offensive lineman, and then we definitely have to cover that. So, yeah.
All righty. Well, we're coming back to football in a little bit with a really good, we were talking about the draft again, people. So come back. But let's move into housewives for the week. So we're looking out to Potomac. Ashley Darby and her husband have split. So yesterday, Real Housewives of Potomac star Ashley Darby has announced that her and her husband, Michael, are going their separate ways after 8 years. So we do have a quote from Ashley Darby. So it says, almost 8 years ago, when Michael and I said I do, we anticipated sharing every single day together from that moment forward. Unfortunately, that is not our current reality. We have decided to separate. We are aware that there will be many speculative views as to why we've made this decision. People will be quick to assume that the causes were too much intrusion by reality TV into the most personal parts of our lives, age gap issues, cultural problems, or child rearing differences. Pieces of all these may have affected our pure love for each other, but no one reason is the root cause of our mutual decision to go separate ways. So clearly a lot was listed on there. If you guys do not know who they are, there is a big age difference between the two of them. Obviously there's also, racial differences. It's a multiracial relationship. So I think one of the things I saw yesterday the most was, and they were kind of pretty tough comments to see, was just good for her for hanging on for at least 8 years. Like she was hanging on for the money, so to say. But listen, she clearly does well for herself. So I don't know if I really believe that. But Ashley, who welcomed sons Dean in July and Dylan last March with Michael, went on to say that although their romantic bond is broken, she knows that they're going to put their heart and their souls into raising their boys, which is always good. And I hope it is factual and real, because obviously very young children. So don't really understand. They clearly don't understand what life is really right now, as opposed to their parents separating. So going to be, important that the parents are good with co-parenting moving forward. So this marriage was clearly a huge storyline in Potomac. And that's why yesterday a lot of those rumors were buzzing for sure. Michael was previously accused of making a sexual comment about another man and was also accused of sexual assault. Denial for both of these and charges of felony assault. He denied that as well. And a misdemeanor of improper sexual conduct. That was all dismissed due to insufficient evidence. So even when those charges were brought on the table, not real, but big. They were a major storyline on Potomac over the last couple of seasons. And yeah, it's not, so that's why I kind of give her props for coming out and saying, like, listen, I know what you guys think, and it's because I think they realize that stuff is out there, and hopefully it was for just other mutual reasons, and that it wasn't for what other people are thinking. So, which is not the good stuff. So, but another housewife split. I don't think they renewed their vows, but I should look that up. So.
Yeah.
That's the golden rule, people.
Yeah. Don't renew your vows if you're a real housewife.
It's not good.
All right. But let's get into our second big story of the week in the world of housewives. This is definitely more lighthearted and just
a little more fun.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So on Monday, Realtor.com put out an article to kind of give facts and superlatives that rank the homes of the Real Housewives.
I love that it was Realtor.com. That cracked me up.
Yeah. They're looking at the homes of the Real Housewives ladies across from all the franchises, kind of calling it the real estate wars of the Real Housewives. So they broke down this article just probably from information that they've gathered when some of these housewives have listed their homes, maybe some extra research on their end. But it's definitely an interesting breakdown by category, and just again some interesting facts and figures here in the world of real estate for the Real Housewives. So if you're curious as to who has the most expensive, who has the most expensive homes as a franchise, all together, it's the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills with a $6.9 million median home list price.
Yeah, no real surprise there on that one.
The second highest was Miami at $5 million. So yeah, I almost thought maybe Orange County would be behind Beverly Hills, but Beverly Hills, that's
money.
That is up there. That
money,
is very high in comparison. Obviously, when I read the article, I was looking at New York and New Jersey. New Jersey and median was $2 million. New York was $1 million. So that's 6.9 million is on a whole other level. The cast member with the most expensive home. This is actually a newbie from Beverly Hills, Diana Jenkins. She sold her mansion last year for $87 million. And fun fact, you may actually recognize that house as the filming location for the final season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So that's a little fun fact there.
Mm-hmm.
The cast member with the largest home also belongs to a lady from the
I'm shocked about this one, to be honest.
Carlton Gebbia, 15,200 square feet. She sold the house in 2019 for $13.8 million.
I thought it was going to be Heather Dubrow.
Square footage wise. Yeah, I know you said her new house is just
enormous. It's I told you, it's like a compound. It's massive.
Yeah. Sorry, sip of water there. The cast member with the most bedrooms. I actually almost expected this to be higher, even though it's pretty high.
Right.
The Real Housewives of Miami's Leah Black has 9 bedrooms.
They should have counted bathrooms, and then Jennifer Aiden would have won that one.
Yes. The cast member with the most viewed homes. So kind of as far as how many clicks they've gotten on Realtor.com when they've listed their home for sale. And this one doesn't surprise me, working in real estate in New Jersey. It's Melissa Gorga. And the reason it doesn't surprise me is because they tried to sell that house for years. Her and Teresa, actually. So it was probably between her and Teresa, just for the amount of days on market their houses were. is no surprise that Melissa has the most clicks.
Well, I'm not surprised from the click factor because if you think of how small New Jersey like is, like, listen, Beverly Hills, I understand, is just like a city, but New Jersey is such a small, close-knit state where, like, when we found out they were on the market, like, everyone in New Jersey was probably clicking on that damn thing, trying to find out, like, where it was, like, what everything like that. So, like, that's probably we as members of New Jersey drove those clicks, whether they were real interest in the house or just people being nosy. Which
maybe,
we
I
are.
think maybe people being nosy.
So,
the cast member with the most extensive real estate portfolio, New York's Bethany Frankel. So obviously, I feel like every other week I'm reading about Bethany either buying or selling one of her
being
properties.
in a place.
So,
yeah. She's got a property everywhere. When she like travels, like it always says that she's
New
like
York, Boston, the Hamptons.
She's got one in Utah. She met up with one of the
always buying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the cat, this one is hilarious. The cast member with the weirdest listing photos goes to Roni's Kelly Ben Simone. Obviously, you know, one of the veteran, no longer on the franchise, but Kelly, you know, most of you remember it was a bit of a wackadoo. She's actually in real estate now by herself, by the way. So it's like, this was a weird professional move to make, but she listed her home in New York, and in pictures of the house, she's posing in the pictures. So I'm letting you know, I've been in real estate now a pretty long time. Can honestly say I've seen a lot of weird shit. I've never seen that one before. So there you go, Carly. Way to go.
No, I must say,
groundbreaking.
There's a website. You just have to like type it into your browser. It's called like the weirdest like property listings. Okay. It is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I think like they redo, it's almost like a BuzzFeed article, but it's maybe BuzzFeed did do an article on it. I've seen so many, like they are some of them are like really creepy, but like some are like really freaking funny.
I want to tell a quick story.
Yeah.
I heard a story about somebody wanting to, they were listing their home and they decided that they were not going to use a realtor. They were going to do a FSBO, a for sale by owner, and list it themselves. So when you do that, you know, you're probably taking your own pictures of your house. You know, you're not getting a professional in to do it. So this person got a text. Somebody was interested in their house and they were like, can you take more pictures? And this person was so excited that someone was interested in their house that it was like early in the morning and they just like got up out of bed and started taking pictures, sent them to the person. And the person was like, thanks for the pictures, might not want to post them online. She was naked and you could see her in one of the shots in a mirror. That could be a horror story for you guys. Next time you want to do a FSBO and sell it on yourself, call me. Let me list your home for you. Let me give you professional pictures where you will not see yourself in the mirror naked.
Oh my God. That is
true story.
Horrifying. So oh my God.
Yeah, so that was honestly like I said, me being in real estate, that was a super interesting article. But yeah, gotta love these ladies and their crazy real estate. Always fascinating.
And their houses.
Yes.
All righty. So let's play a game. We are playing the best three from the last week 3. So the NFL draft is 8 days away. We are getting there very, very quickly. So we are going to look at the picks from the previous 3 drafts and say who we think are the best 3 players from each position, and we're going to do them in order. So we're doing quarterback, wide receiver, running back, tight end, defensive end or defensive lineman, linebacker, cornerback, or safety. So those are our positions. So mine are in order from like I list them first to last, so not 3 to 1. So just a heads up there. So. And I must say, like, I love when Katie and I do these deep dives, especially when it's draft season, because it's so eye-opening to like see like what had happened, even in just a short time in the last 3 years. You kind of forget like, oh, that person went in 2019 or like 2019 had like this, not that many people or something like that. So, and just a disclaimer here, I was an idiot and did not look at the undrafted people. So if any of those, okay, I was going to say, I made
with my list. So
I did from tight end down to cornerback because that's when I realized I didn't look. And then I just didn't do it for the other.
I don't think it's going to change much.
It didn't.
What I love about this list is I have some guys who were drafted just last year's draft
in the top 3.
Not only my top 3, but as some of them got my 1 spot. So
I think I have a couple of those too.
To see some of these players who have literally been in the league for just 1 year. I mean, we were talking about Andrew Thomas could be a captain for the Giants. He needs to be a veteran leader. Like, we're already looking at these guys like they are the leaders and they are the focal points of their respective teams. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. All righty. So let's start with quarterbacks.
A lot of names to choose from, but these are 3 really good quarterbacks. Number 1 on my list, I'm going to go with the Chargers' Justin Herbert, who was drafted in the first round in 2020. Number 2, and this is very close. You can make arguments for flipping these guys. Number 2, I'm going to go with Cincinnati's Joe Burrow, who was also drafted in the first round in 2020. And then I'm going to jump to the 2019 draft in the first round at my 3 spot and go with Arizona's Kyler Murray.
So, Katie, we are spot on guy-wise, but order is just a little different. Number 1 for me is Joe Burrow. And then I'm going Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray as well. So
all right.
I did follow up with the 2-3 there also. Okay. All righty. Wide receiver. So this one was eye-opening to me because we just shared so many names, but we just shared some news about one of these individuals on my list, at least earlier in the show. And I was like, that's how young his career is. It was kind of like, it's mind blowing. Sometimes some of these guys, you think they've been in the league for so long because of the impact they've made. So I won't say any more spoilers. You'll see who I'm talking about. But Katie, who are your top 3 for wide receiver?
All right. So at 1, I'm going to give it up for Minnesota's Justin Jefferson, who went in the first round in the 2020 draft. At number 2, I'm going to go with a guy who was a rookie this past season. I'm going to go with Cincinnati's Jamar Chase, who was drafted in the first round in 2021. And then last but not least, I guess probably who you were talking about, I'm going with San Fran's Deebo Samuel, who was drafted in the second round in 2019.
So again, same guys, we just flopped a little bit. So Deebo is getting my number 1 spot. And then I'm going to follow with Jamar Chase, that second number as well. And then I'm going to put Justin Jefferson in that 3rd position there. But again, such a talented crew, just 3 people.
I mean,
I had a list of like 7 guys.
I'm already thinking about like, just for you, like some of the Bama boys that don't even make this list, like Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith, and like, the list goes on and on and on. There are so many good young wide receivers.
I would say I had a list of like 7 or 8 guys that I just kind of stared at for a little bit. And you're absolutely right. Those guys made it. I was more keen on Devontae Smith between him and Jalen Waddle, to be honest, but some 2 new players because you just know their raw talent from becoming, for me at least, coming into the NFL. And they did great things right away off the bat. But yeah, just so many people to look at here. So a very interesting list for sure.
Yep.
All right, let's go to running back. Again, another decent amount of people here. So another good list.
So my 1 spot I'm just gonna say is probably, I think, one of the most talented players out of this entire list that I'm going to name across all positions. I'm going with Indianapolis's Jonathan Taylor, who was drafted in the 2nd round in 2020. Number 2, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh's Najee Harris, a rookie last year, but made an incredible impact as a first-round pick in 2021. And then 3rd spot, I am going to say, Kate, I don't think we're going to go 3 for 3 on this one player.
We're not. We're already.
The 3rd spot was so hard for me and so interchangeable, but I am going to go. There was also a lot of guys who have been injured.
Right.
Young guys that have been injured at the running back position already. I'm going to go with a guy who's been healthy and consistent. I'm going to go with Washington's Antonio Gibson, who was drafted in the 3rd round in 2020.
So I understand the injuries, and I think, we'll definitely see that for sure, like across many, many names that could be on this list. I have two different from you, but I must say, so Najee and Antonio are not on my list, but they were on my big list when I was trying to narrow things down. So my list goes as follows. I'm going to go with Cam Akers, Jonathan Taylor, and Josh Jacobs. So obviously Josh Jacobs, another Bama boy. But yeah, all three just, talented players, understand, the injury perspective on some things, but another list of people that you just had to like sit back and be like, when you like pull someone off the list, you're like, no, like I don't want to, but had to make a decision here, clearly. Yeah. All righty, and tight ends. And you know what I love about this list of guys for the past 3 drafts is that we always talk, there's like 4 tight ends in the NFL. Well, guess what? I think there was actually probably 4 or 5 people I looked at for this list. We're getting new people into the tight end position.
I was literally, before you even said anything, my disclaimer was going to be that I thought tight end was slim pickings from the last three drafts. And what I was going to say,
looking at 4 people was slim pickings, 4 or 5 people.
I just didn't think there were, I was a little bit surprised. I didn't think that there were a lot of names to choose from. And what I was going to say about that is this is supposed to be a really deep and heavy tight end class coming up, which I'm very excited for.
Let's see about
Giants definitely need to draft one of them. 100%. So we could be in a year from now, playing a similar game like this. We could be looking at a tight end from this year, potentially cracking a list like this. So
absolutely.
At number 1, I'm going with Detroit's TJ Hawkinson, who was drafted in the first round in 2019. Number 2, I'm going with a rookie, Atlanta's Kyle Pitts, drafted in the first round in 2021. And then my third spot with a new team coming up, Seattle's Noah Fant, who was drafted in the first round in 2019.
We went 3 for 3 again, Katie, but again, just a different order. So I'm going TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, and then Kyle Pitts in my last spot. No real shame at Kyle Pitts. I think we got to see a little bit more from Atlanta using him better. He could have been. We said this week after week this past season. You got to use him. He was a first round tight end. Come on.
I think they did towards the second half of the season, but the first half was really I had him in fantasy, and I actually snagged him early in fantasy. I was like, I think this kid is going to be amazing. And the first couple of weeks of fantasy football, I was like, are they shitting me? Why aren't they getting him the ball? So I think they got their groove in the second half of the season, and they definitely need to carry that over this year in his sophomore year. But, that could be challenging considering the fact that he will have to learn a new quarterback. Right. So we'll see how that goes.
All righty. Moving along here. Defensive end or defensive lineman?
Okay. I talked about this guy earlier. At number 1, I'm going to go Washington's Chase Young. And again, I did talk about injury bugs for this list, but you can't deny the fact that when he is healthy, he's one of the best young defensive players in the league. So he was drafted in the first round in 2020. At number 2, I'm going to go another player I'm really high on with San Fran's Nick Bosa, who was drafted in 2019 in the first round. Obviously, he's gotten a little bit of an injury bug as well. And then in the 3 spot, I'm going with Carolina's Brian Burns, who was also drafted in the first round in 2019.
It's a good list. We didn't go 3 for 3. We went 2 for 3, which is fine by me. I'm going with Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, and Chase Young on this one.
Max Crosby was my 4th pick. So I was choosing between.
Based off this last season, I had to throw him in that mix. So,
and correct, by the way, if he had made my list, he would have been my only player. He was drafted in the 4th round. So all my selections here have either been selected in the first 3 rounds. But Max Crosby, had he made my list, he was drafted in the 4th round. So fun fact there.
All righty. Moving on to linebacker.
A rookie, but you cannot deny the impact. So number 1, I'm going with Dallas's Micah Parsons, drafted in the first round in 2021. Number 2, I've got Tampa Bay's Devin White, drafted in the first round in 2019. And at 3, I have Pittsburgh's Devin Bush, also drafted in the first round in 2019.
All right, 2 for 3 here again. So, but still pretty much on the same wavelength. I'm going with Devin White in the number 1 spot, following up by Mika Parsons. And then last spot for me is Isaiah Simmons.
Okay. All right. I like that.
All righty. And let's go last but not least, one of my favorite positions, plurals in the NFL, is cornerback and safety. So we did this one cornerback or safety, whatever your choosing was. So yeah, who do you have here?
I'm looking at my list now and realizing that the last 3 positions, my number 1 spot has gone to an NFC East opponent.
I know.
That sucks. But I am giving the number 1 spot to Dallas's Trayvon Diggs, drafted in the 2nd round in 2020. At number 2, I'm going with a rookie. I love how many rookies made my list. I'm going with Patrick Surtain, drafted in the 1st round in 2021. And then rounding out my list at number 3, Atlanta's AJ Terrell, drafted in the 1st round in 2020.
All righty. So we went 2 for 3 again, which seems to be the trend for the night, but a little bit of moving around too. So Trayvon Diggs is my number 1. Obviously, I think that's a no-brainer there. And listen, this is a no bias. I looked at stats, people. Very thrilled with what Xavier McKinney did for the New York Giants last year. I think he was a really solid draft pick at this position. And then number 3, I did put in Patrick Surtain. So this last season, actually, Xavier McKinney actually had a slightly better season. So, and listen, they're both Bama boys. So I know what's going on behind those doors. But I had to, again, really no bias behind that one. But I just love Xavier McKinney. So I thought it was a really good pick for the Giants. So that was one of the things is I loved doing this game. There was so many later draft picks. And I guess sometimes it frustrates me that the Giants do so well later in the draft, because it's like, what the hell are we doing at the beginning of the draft? But there are so many names reading off, like guys that are making an impact. And I do see them making an impact later on in coming seasons too for us. And that gave me a little bit of a confidence
Well,
boost. So
we got 2 very early 1st round draft picks. We got to nail it. We cannot wait to have our good picks in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. They need to land these, and we'll see. Well, I can't believe we're like next week we're going to be.
I don't want to wait.
Guys are going to be with the New York Giants. So
for our lives to be over. Seriously, the Giants. That's how I feel sometimes. Don't wait until my life is over to be good. To be good.
All right. Well, great game. Love diving into the drafts of the past. But it is that point in the night where we get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, housewives, life, wine. Kate, what do you have for us?
Well, obviously, just very excited. The draft is next week. That's just a quick no-brainer there. But I might be on the same wavelength as the draft. You got to keep pulling us in. Tonight is the reunion part 1 for the Real Housewives of Orange County. And guess what, people? I watched a full season start to finish. And I took a huge hiatus from them because they were pissing me off. I hated the cast members. They brought back my girl, Heather Dubrow, this season. And I got to say, it was a fun season. We got the drama we needed. Some of it was unnecessary, but you're always going to get that in reality TV. That's fine. But people, I watched end to end. So
I think you should just, I think you should belt it out. She's back in the Orange County groove.
She is. She's back. My girl Heather's back in the Orange County groove. She is. And she led the season. I thought she was one of the top guns this season, as she was, being a veteran, just came in and kind of, she didn't really know all the women because a lot of them are new. I think the biggest shocker was that she had only met Shannon Bedore a couple times on one of the seasons past. And I thought they knew each other like really well. But it wasn't like too crazy. So honestly, great season, I thought. Reunion part 1's on tonight. The reunions give Katie and I a little bit of agita. So yes. I won't say that the reunion will be nice, and I won't say that I'll like it, because I probably won't. But great season, and I will be back for the next one. So good job, guys.
Right. Good
stuff.
Good
Don't piss me off in the next season. So that's all I have to say.
Very good. Very good. I'm just going to kind of talk about life here in the state of New Jersey. I'm sure kind of, elsewhere nearby, but I'm really hating the weather this month in the month of April here. there are years in New Jersey where we might get a snowstorm in April. So luckily we haven't had that, knocking on wood, literally right now. But it has been very dreary in the Garden State. Today was not a bad day, but it feels like the whole month of April is like they'll give us like a sprinkling of like 1 or 2 good days, and then all of a sudden it's back to like raining for a straight week or really cold. And so it's not been pleasant. I think April's been going slow, but we're gonna blink and it's almost May here. And if this weather doesn't pick up in the month of May, then I'm gonna really like freak out. But I actually, right before this show started, if you're listening, you can't see this, but I did get a mani-pedi, and I went with yellow, and they're like
spring.
They always laugh at me when I pick the crazy colors at the nail salon, but I'm like, I'm just trying to will like the warm weather. Like,
just gotta bring
on board, people, get on board.
That's what I'm doing with Alabama gear. You just got to bring in the good juju. If you put the yellow nail polish on, the warm weather will come. If I wear my Alabama gear every day until next Thursday, Evan Neal will come. It comes. It comes.
Yeah. So, wish us some better weather here in New Jersey. We could really use it. Actually, I will say, Kayla and I are going out together on Friday night this week, and it is supposed to be like almost 70, maybe 70. So I'll take that. We just need it to stick around.
Nice little just like light jacket on, like a jean jacket, like very good weather for
that. I
don't
want to be rocking no jackets. I want to get past jacket season.
I do, but a jean jacket's fine. It's just like a little cover up. Like, it's okay. But like, I do want to get past jacket weather as well. So all of mine are like, they're away. They're packed up. So I can't physically pull them out of my closet. That's keep putting the good vibes out there. So we want good weather as well. And listen, be on the lookout for good weather, but be on the lookout for everything that's coming to a screen near you, to a TV near you, streaming, whatever you do near you, laptop, iPad. I don't know where you guys watch things, but be on the lookout. I did mention before, the Real Housewives of Orange County reunion part 1 is on tonight at 9 p.m. I will be logging off here and watching that as soon as possible. New Jersey's still going on. Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Good season so far. I guess we want a little bit more from them, but we'll see what goes on there. Atlanta season 14 premiere. We are 11 days from that, 11 days away. And then you got Beverly Hills season 12 premiere. We are 3 weeks away from that. So we'll keep updating you on that. And then we are 8 days away from the NFL draft. Whoo, I get chills every time I say it.
Speaking of the draft and draft week, just another quick reminder to you guys, next week, obviously we want to be giving you some draft coverage for sure leading into it, but we will be with you on Tuesday next week instead of Wednesday night. So we'll obviously, post some reminders on our social media pages, but you will join us Tuesday night instead, definitely for some juicy draft talk. And obviously all the best in the world of Housewives.
Yep, absolutely. So Tuesday next week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, across all of our channels, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, Twitter. Also, just be on the lookout on Instagram and Twitter as draft week weekend comes. All the latest and greatest. We'll give you guys all the latest and greatest. So make sure you are tuned in to all of our social media platforms to see that. But in the meantime, we'll catch you later. And thank you guys for joining us.
Bye.
Goodbye. Good night.